Final Boss Escanor has finally made its rerun, and similar to its debut, it is still one of the more difficult final bosses. So we're going to see what teams we can use to actually farm this in probably 2 to 3 turns. Unfortunately, it's not going to be on auto because of his invincibility, and that kind of cucks the AI. So the first team we're using, you've probably seen everywhere. It's Eris, Rudius, Kazuna, and Donna Liz. Eris is here because Rudius is here, and vice versa. They're pretty much always going to be hand in hand, because her relic literally buffs only his balls. So as long as they're together, his balls are going to work well. Her passive is going to buff red humans, so that's why the team is also mono red. For her gear, we do have UR tops, because kind of want to maximize her damage, but we also don't have her paid outfits, which I think is kind of important if you're, you know, Eris and Rudius aren't kind of built to a semi-decent standard. Rudius, like I said, is here with Eris. Lots of humans is going to give him a lot of balls, and every ball he has, he increases his damage. He's got UR tops as well, and then not the paid cosmetics. But we did buff the free ones, because like I said, trying to maximize his damage as best we can. Kazuna, she's here because, you know, she's a really good PvE buffer. She gives attack-related stats, she buffs basic stats, and then her gear is just borrowed. Donna Liz can be any Donna Liz. What matters is her relic, because it's a 50% stat boost in PvE. We have the human artifact set and attack food, and that is the setup, so let's jump into it. Alright, so phase 1 is going to be pretty simple. All we're going to do is triple AoE. So we do Kazuna first, so we get the attack-related buff. We do Eris second, so that we maximize Rudy's balls. And then we do his infect, because a single target we're going to need for phase 2. Rudy should end with 3 balls. You'll have the attack buff from Donna Liz, and the attack-related buff from Kazuna. She gets her rank up, and we're chilling. So that's phase 1. 3 balls. Phase 2, it can be a little tricky if your Rudius isn't well built. So most of the time, if he's not built, you're not going to one-shot with his single target. And that's mostly because of this HP-related buff. So if you can't one-shot, what you're going to either want is a second Rudius card, whether it be as AoE or I guess another single target you could just merge, or have Eris on the left, which we do, so that you can merge into her rank 2 AoE, because it removes buffs. Obviously, we use the one AoE on the first turn, but there is no way to clear first turn without doing that, because if the only other attack really is a single target, and if you use a single target, then you lose all of his balls, right? So we want to maximize the balls. So, in our case, he's built enough that we can buff single target. Whoops, that is not the single target. I'm going to use the rank 1 just to show that if it's built enough, you don't really need any extra cards. Obviously, if you got merges, use the merges. That'll make it a little easier. But this should do about 20%, and then he's got max balls, which will just do like a fuck ton of damage, 900k. So, depending on the setup that you have, or I guess really Rudius's attack, either go for the Kazuna, go for the Eris merge, or try to get an infect for, what's his name, Rudius. Alright, that's the first team, so let's take a look at another option. So this is the team that I would probably run more often, because it is a lot more consistent. So we swapped out Kazuna for Red Roxy. We need to keep the Red Human trend alive for Eris, but Red Roxy has a buff removal on her rank 1 single target, which is going to make phase 2 significantly easier. We get rid of the HP related buff. We don't have to worry about our Rudius not hitting hard enough or us needing some kind of weird merge. It makes things a little easier. And because we don't have Kazuna, we're losing the attack related buff, and it's kind of imperative that we crit on the first phase. So to make sure that we do, we're running crit chance food, keeping the same card set, and the gears are the same on everybody else. So let's jump into it. Alright, so similar to the previous team, we're just going to triple AoE, and that should do the job. Or rather, actually what'll be better, double Kazuna. Not Kazuna, Eris. Double Eris, because we can use a single target. I don't think Roxy's AoE hits that hard. So, yeah. Without the attack-related buff, Kazuna's single target doesn't kill. If you do it on the other team, with the attack-related buff, it will kill, which means you're only getting 2 balls instead of 3. Now here is phase 2. I'm not going to do the merge, because I just want to show that this can work naturally. So, I would say double Roxy, because that's what you start with, and then you do the Radius single target. Like, look at that. That's pretty good. About 25% HP. That one's pretty sad, but he's, you know, loses 30% of his HP. You deal literally half the damage. I did like 900k with Kizuna, but without the HP related buff, he is significantly squishier. So that's going to be these guys. We'll take a look at a different human setup. So this is probably a huge shout out to all the Aaron copers that exist in this world, thinking that he would be good in some way, shape, or form. I would say he's decent for this piece of content. So if you don't have, you know, the other collab units, here's a different collab team that you can run. So this is mono humans, but it's blue, because blue does have the type advantage. These guys should be pretty decent. So we're starting with Chainsaw Roxy. I mean, you see her in literally every other human video, so you know how she works. We have blue base mono, not awakened mono. Her deal, nothing too crazy. Single target buff removal on rank 1. That's pretty much the shenanigans here. Having her relic is also pretty nice, which we'll check out why in the actual run. Aaron, he's a human booster, which is cool. Relic, again, ignoring 30% of the enemy's crit resistance, sort of like a baby Death Pierce. His skills are okay, but overall the kit's not too bad for this. He's on borrowed gear, and then again Donald doesn't matter. Just need a relic. We can swap back to attack food here. And this, again, is going to be the human artifact set because they're humans. So, let's check it out. Alright, so phase 1 with these guys is pretty simple. We're just going to Aaron. We're going to double up on Aaron's cards. I could merge. I don't think you need the merge. And I don't think you need the 3rd card, but I'm going to go ahead and burn it. Holy crap. Yeah. Alright, phase 1, Aaron's actually kind of busted. Phase 2 is a little tricky. Phase 2 we need to spend a couple turns on, because we do want some merges here. What do we have? We've got the... Okay. We don't crit, so... Actually, the relic doesn't matter here. I'm gonna burn some of this nonsense. I think what matters is a rank 2 on either the Roxy attack or the buff removal. Because we need to get him to about 30% HP. And then hit him with one of the rank 2s. Below 30% HP his invincibility kicks in. So, in order to do that, we kind of just burn the nonsensical AoEs. And then maybe some of the weak single targets like Aaron's. The one that relies on a debuff. We don't want to burn the buff removal the first turn, because he does end up buffing himself. So here we're going to go ahead and burn it. I think what we'll do, because we did get an extra debuff here, so I think we'll debuff buff strip, and then the rank 2, let's see what that looks like. Oh, I like that. Does this go to about 30? It goes to about 30, yeah. So, the thing with this team is you kind of have to, like, you have to figure it out. It's a little difficult, I would say. A little harder to do, because you have to figure out how to get him to just above 30 HP, and then have a rank 2. Because it's pretty hard to do without a rank 2, so a little more RNG involved, but that might be due to the fact that I left these two at SA3, because I really didn't feel like finishing them out, because, you know, SA coins are kind of scarce right now, especially with the Demon King fight. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last team. This team is great, because if you didn't summon on Mushoku Tensei, if you didn't summon Attack on Titan, then I hope you summoned on Overlord, and still played, at least, during Shield Hero, because Kizuna was free. So, I'm starting to see a trend, and that's sort of every farm team is gonna have a collab unit, which is hilarious. So Albedo, I mean, I think you know the deal with her. She's kind of the queen right now in Demon King battle, so we have her on a borrowed attack gear. Kizuna, same thing. Gother, sure, take your gear, and then Anashi. I think you could tell by the setup, the idea is maximizing, what's her name, Albedo's taunt with a ton of buffs, because her counterattack scales off Amplify, and that's pretty much what the team does. We have the same card set, because actually it's for humans and unknowns, and attack food, right? So that's a pretty easy setup. Let's check it out. Now, I would say that the unknown team is probably just as RNG dependent as the mono blue human team, just because you do need the rank ups. We do want to see a gold counter from Albedo, right? Because that's where all of our damage is. So we're going to start by ranking her up, and then burning these, burn the Gother guards. Now, we can't open with a counter, because he has a buff removal, so that just kind of cucks us, right? So that's why we save it. We do have the extra rank up, which is nice. I would say like 60-70% of the time you're more than likely going to see like either the Kizuna buff get gold or the Albedo taunt get gold, right? Because there's a good chance you pull one of these 3 cards. In our case, we get the Kizuna. So we attack with Kizuna. Right, we get her attack-related buff. He attacks twice into us. We have 2 attack-related buffs here. And then, again, RNG dependent, you get the Nanashi buffs. But that doesn't matter right now. It will matter for phase 2 when we actually do taunt. Yeah, so we just double attack, and then, sorry, gold Albedo single target. I got lost in the sauce there. If it's not gold, silver works too. Double Kizuna attacks. One of them will be gold. Or sorry, silver. You could have two Albedo single targets. One will be bronze, one will be silver. You do the bronze first. You'll still kill. Best case scenario is probably this right here, right? Because we can rank up Albedo, we could get a gold buff, and then we taunt. I think she one-shots. So this should be the max amount of buffs that you can get. Alright, because I don't think our Nanashi buffs go away if we pull extra cards from her. Yeah. So this is best case scenario. If you don't have maximum buffs, then you're going to need to deal like literally 1 card, I think. Like any kind of damage. What was that, 1.8 mil? Yeah. So you're going to have to do a little bit of damage, which means you might have to settle for a rank 2 taunt. But again, that's sort of like the RNG factors with this team. So unfortunately, every team that I can think of or have found is collab dependent, and if you don't have it, then you're gonna have to cope and do some manual farming that's gonna take longer than 2 or 3 turns. But that's all the farm teams. If you guys like to drop a thumb, maybe sub if you're into that, and I'll see you in the next one.